Okay, we are going to create kind of a evening scene or a nighttime scene, and it requires a few things. I'd like you guys to use a 9 by 12 sheet of paper. My paper is going to be a little bit smaller so that you can see it in the camera view. Along with your 9 by 12 sheet of paper, you can get a circle tracer, which would be something round, about this size on your paper. So it doesn't have to be exactly this size. I have this little bowl here, so I kind of turned it over, and I'm going to use this as my tracer. You're also going to need either a pen or a pencil. I'm going to be using a black pen and a blue pen. If you have watercolor markers, the regular Crayola or Crazy Art water-soluble markers, I would use them at the end of our project. Don't use this kind of marker for your lines. You need something a little bit more permanent. If you have a Sharpie, that would be great too. So I'm just going to take my pencil, and I'm going to place my circle tracer a little bit beyond the center of the paper. So I'm going to go around. Now, if you don't have a circle tracer, you can just draw yourself a circle. Okay, there we go. So it looks like that. It's the position on the paper. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to take a straight edge, and you're going to be dividing up your paper into different sections. Now, if you don't have a ruler, you can use the edge of a notebook or the edge of another sheet of paper, or you can try to freehand it and see what your results will be. So I'm just kind of choosing how I want to have this divided up. I want a lot of different sections as I do this. So I'm just going to kind of switch it around here. I want to kind of use my judgment to fill my space with lines. Now, within each of these spaces, we are going to be creating another line. Now, I looked at this one, and this one didn't quite go through, so I'm going to kind of use my pen like that. This line's going to be a little darker. Here I go. This shouldn't take you that long to do. And you kind of just judge what you think is more interesting. I like things that are a little more balanced, so I'm gonna try to keep my spaces kind of equal, meaning I don't want a lot of big spaces and a lot of little spaces. I want them kind of all the same size. I think maybe one more here. Right about there. Now you can also, you don't have to go straight down. I see that I ended here. My pen didn't go here, so I can actually take and make a line here, make it a little interesting. I can take another one and go diagonal this way. So you can kind of do a little bit of both here, and just how you decide you want to do it. I think I need another one right there. So once you have your lines in, then you're going to want to take and use your pen. And I thought I had a blue pen here, but I guess I didn't. I'm going to just use a regular old pen, and I'm going to start by making parallel lines in each of the shapes. And you really need to kind of take your time with this. You can use a ruler if you'd like, or you can just really take your time and concentrate as you do these lines. They really need to be parallel to get the right effect. So I'm going to start here. I've got a parallel line here. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to just mimic my line. I'm not using a ruler, but I'm going to take my time as I do this. So you can have the spacing even, kind of the same thickness, or you can space it out a little bit more. You can make them go even closer. It's up to you, but all of the lines need to be kind of going in the same direction. So kind of here. This is a blue pen that I'm using, so I think I'm going to use the blue pen in all of the spaces outside of this circle. So now I have them going there. Each shape is, you're going to have your lines going in different directions. So now I can go this way. I'm going to fill in my shapes, and you just take your time as you do this. Again, keep your lines nice and straight. If you need a ruler for this, you can use one. Okay. Okay, now I've got that. I think I could probably do straight up and down here. And I'm going to fill in each of these shapes outside of the circle with this exact same color, making sure that the lines go in different directions for each shape. Okay, now I've filled in the background of my paper, leaving that circle area free. And now I'm going to take a different kind of pen, different color pen. I'm going to use black, and it's just a regular ink pen, and I'm going to start to fill in these shapes on the inside, kind of using the same principles, making sure that every shape has lines that are going in different directions for each shape. So we'll see what that looks like. And I'm going to take this here and start here. The color variation will be very slight for me, going from blue to black. And I like to rotate my paper as I do this, because I find that I can keep my lines very straight if I just turn my paper. You got to be a little bit careful. My pen was leaking a little bit, and I was getting kind of these globs here. So if I touch these areas, it'll probably smear, and I don't really want that to happen, so I have to be kind of careful. I don't know if you're going to have the same trouble with a pen that you might be using. Again, you don't have to really use pen on this. You can use pencil if you'd like, and even colored pencil would look really nice. If you were to use two different colors of just colored pencil as you were doing this, keeping your lines nice and straight and consistent, I think you could get some real interesting effects. I'm going to fill this in, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to finish this up. Okay, now I have this all filled in. The blue on the outside, the blue pen, and the black. And I know I talked about smudging my ink a little bit earlier, but look what happened. I've got it all over my hand, and I ran my hand across it and smudged that ink there. So hopefully I can disguise that in a little bit. It shouldn't matter too much. I'm going to take a Sharpie, not a Sharpie, but a, well, it is a Sharpie. It's a Sharpie highlighter. And I'm going to highlight now the inner circle. And that's going to be, hopefully my Sharpie will work here. I'm going to take this in. I'm going to go right over the top of the pen. If you have used colored pencils to do this, you can go over the top with the highlighter as well, or you can go over lightly with another colored pencil, just so that your lines kind of stand out. So I'm going to just be filling this in with this intense color, and it really will make this circle stand out. And of course, my Sharpie is running out. I never have good markers, do I? I'm going to keep on going here. Kind of slowly. It's always better if you can go in one direction when you are working with a marker. Then you have nice smooth lines. Kind of go here. I'm going to rotate my paper a little bit and come around here, kind of making a border so I don't mess up and go into the background. So rotating, 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 and now I feel a little bit safer. I'm kind of color that in. You guys can take your time as you're doing this. I just don't want to waste too much of your time watching this when you could be working. Okay, so now I can touch that up in a little bit. I need these little white areas that I see. But now I've got the center colored in yellow. And I'm going to take another highlighter, and this one is my blue, and I'm going to highlight the background. So I'm going to actually take my highlighter, and it should be nice and light. I should be able to see my lines going through here. And I'm going to highlight each of these squares, or shapes I should say, they're not really squares, with my highlighter. And I'm going to go through and do the entire background in this one single color. Again, if you have used colored pencil, you can just go over the top with another color lightly so that the color that you did the lines with will really show through. Okay, my Sharpie really was kind of running out, so I didn't get quite the desired effect that I wanted. And I thought of a few more ways that I could go about doing this. One of the ways would be to use my pen and then go over the top with a light colored watercolor wash. So just using our pan watercolors and go over the top of either the background or the sun with that watercolor. I think that would give it kind of a neat effect as well. But I've got this finished here. Now I'm going to use my water-based marker. If it's the only marker I have here. So if you have a Sharpie, I think Sharpie would work best. But I don't. I'm going to just use my water-based marker, and I'm going to go over my lines that form the shapes. Now, you've got to really kind of take your time as you do this. I just want to make these a little bit thicker because I want to be able to see each of these shapes a little bit better, and I think my marker kind of dulled it out a little bit. So I'm going to go over each of these lines with my marker, and then I am going to start to add a silhouette of an animal in the sky over the top of my circle. And I will be right back as soon as I finish all of these lines. Okay, now it's time to put my finishing touches, and I want to kind of do a silhouette here of 3 bats in the sky. So in order to do that, I'm going to do one that's a little bit bigger. I'm going to start here and kind of do a straight line, a little curve up. And the nice thing about doing a silhouette is that you can just fill in the area if you make a mistake. It's not that bad. There you go. So I've got kind of a bat head. I'm going to do 2 wings. Wings going to come out here like that, and maybe one over here. And then I'm going to do some curved lines. And I like 2 here. And maybe another 2 here, so I get some symmetry going. And then I'm going to end it here. Now, if I don't like the way I end it here, I can kind of change the shape of my bat. But I'm going to fill this in with my marker. Now, there's lots of other ways to do this as well. If you have black paper, you could cut out your bats and put it on the top of your drawing. But I'm trying to simplify my supplies here, and I happen to have this black marker, so it's the marker that I'm using. So coming here, kind of filling in this space. And I use that tip of that marker if I go outside the lines a little bit to kind of fine-tune that shape. Again, if you don't get your bat shape exactly like mine, that's okay. So I've got one here. I'm going to do a smaller one up here. And I'm going to take another sheet of paper and lay it down on top of this so that I don't mess up my picture in case that marker was a little bit wet. So I'm going to do a tiny little bit here, a lot smaller. That'll be a little bit quicker. Kind of fill in that. I want these wings to be pointed. I gotta use the top of that marker. There we go. Now, I'm not too happy with this, so I'm gonna actually bring this down and make it more of a body. He's got a third one here, and probably another one there. So that's my, and I think I want this neck to be a little bit wider there. So I've got 2 bats on my page, and why not head for the third one? I think my third one is going to be right here, and kind of in the blue area. Make the body, I'm doing this one a little bit different. And there we go. There's my third bat. So now when you look at it, I have a really good silhouette of 3 bats. I think this piece is really interesting because of the lines in the background and the bold shapes in the foreground coming forward, the silhouettes. So I hope you had fun doing this, and I hope yours turned out just as good as mine did.